Okay, so welcome to Beyond the Game Mind and Body podcast, where we explore the powerful connection between mental health and athletics. I'm your host, Michael Couture. Right now, I'm in grad school, currently studying to become a mental health therapist, and I'm a lifelong athlete. Today's episode, we're going to dive into the deep topic that's often overlooked in sports, mental health. So we often hear about the physical side of sports, the training, the competition, the victories, but we never hear about the toll it can take on an athlete's mental well-being. So to shed some light on this, I'm excited to have a very special guest. Joining me is a friend who not only played sports throughout high school, but competed at a college and professional level. He's here to share his personal experiences with mental health, challenges athletes face behind the scenes. We're going to hear about the pressures, the struggles, and the lessons learned along the way, as mental health is important just as physical training. So welcome to the podcast, Brandon. I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me.
So Brandon, for those who may not be familiar with your story, can you just start us by telling us a little about yourself, how you got into football, your journey through high school and college?
Brandon Coleman, currently offensive lineman with the Commanders, the Washington Commanders. Was a basketball guy my whole life. So grew up playing basketball, grew up overseas. Should probably mention that first of all. My mom's full German. So grew up in Germany, was born over here in VA, but we moved straight back after. Just grew up over there, normal German kid, fluent and all that stuff. And yeah, my senior, sophomore year of high school, I decided I want to come to the States to pursue a basketball career. And then that's when I kind of got into football my last 2 years of high school. Just I always wanted to play. My dad had kind of a little career in it in Europe, and then he also played obviously in high school. So I always was interested, and that panned out obviously to what it is right now. Yeah, I was just kind of looking for something to pass the time in the off season of basketball. Saw that there was a path for me to be able to be successful in football more than basketball, which obviously that can be a big hurdle for people to kind of let go of some of their dreams. But I was able to make that happen, had a bunch of support from families and former coaches, and then went JUCO out of high school for a year and a half in Trinity Valley Junior College down to Athens, Texas, and transferred to TCU for my last couple of years, and then ended up getting drafted last year to the Commanders.
What a story. What was your biggest cultural shock going from Germany to playing college football in the United States?
Biggest cultural shock. I think there's like too many to mention. I mean, it's like every aspect I feel like is different. Like high school over there, even school in general, is just education.
Mm-hmm.
Like their sports and their like extracurriculars are all outside of like school.
Okay.
So I was like, everything is club, if that makes sense. So like high school sports were obviously a thing, but they weren't really anything to get you like to the next level. It was just like
Yeah.
for fun, like PE.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got over here and like you just see how the students are like pumped up and the pep rallies and all that, like that was very new. Obviously, like being able to drive when you were young, like over there, you start getting your license around like 17, 18, and here you
Mm-hmm.
get it with 16. Also given you don't have like the infrastructure over here that you have over there with like public
Yeah.
transportation. And I think also just the food. Like my body took a toll the first couple of years, like adjusting just like the types of food I have to eat every day for football, but also just in general that like is over here. So all that stuff kind of took a year or two, and then in college it took a year to adjust and get comfortable.
How was the adjusting for you?
I
Did you
think
come
I'm
did you come alone also, or did your family?
so my sister was already over here.
Okay.
So I moved in with her and her now husband for that first year of high school. And then my dad, he was in VA at the time. He moved down to Texas and now they're all back in Texas still, like very
Okay.
close. So I have my family here. My mom,
Yeah.
she came to visit a lot.
No.
So I had those people to help me adjust, but I think it wasn't too bad. Like I was someone who's always able to kind of just see the opportunity that's in front of them
Hmm.
and kind of just go with the flow. And obviously it's easy to do that with something like football at the time because I didn't know anything about the sport.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know concepts, steps, what certain routes were. Like it was like everything was still for me to learn. So my dad taught me that, and also just picking up over the years, like you just soak up all the information you can if you
Yeah.
don't know it. And I didn't have a lot of expectations for myself when I started playing football,
Hmm.
just because, like I said, I didn't know anything. So I kind of just took it day by day, step by step, up until I got to TCU, where obviously career choice and stuff like that were starting to pan out a little more clearly in terms of like if I could make it or not. But
Hmm.
The adjustment there was a lot easier than later on.
Yeah. So from basketball to the NFL, what motivated you to keep grinding through JUCO to get to the TCU and then get to the NFL?
Yeah, I think there was never really like a second option. Like I always wanted to play sports, and at first I didn't think I was gonna end up being an NFL player. Um, it was just something to pass the time, and then I was just gonna see how it pans out with JUCO, obviously. But I have my degree and all that stuff, and I have like stuff that I can do after sports if it didn't pan
Yeah.
out. But that was never really like a thought in my head. Like there was always going to be something I do in sports.
Yeah.
I was always going to play. Like I never really thought about what would happen if I didn't make it. So you know, that's I think what kind of got me going. Like I never felt the pressure of like failure or like what if I don't make it. I never told myself that. I think that's also like kind of a blessing of starting late and
Yeah.
like you don't think about like the pressures. You don't know what that environment is like. You don't
Mhm.
know who you compete with. So it made it easier to start up and kind of learn everything.
That's a great mindset that you had, the motivation, no matter what happens, you're gonna do it.
For sure.
How did it feel to get that call on draft day to the Washington Commanders?
Man, it was crazy. Like, that's what my whole life was geared towards at the
Mhm.
time was making that happen. That was like my goal. To like get my name called. Obviously change from basketball to football, but to be able to be professional and do what I love to earn money. Like, that's kind of the dream that a lot of athletes have, if not every athlete. So I mean I can't even describe it. It's like you sit there and the heart's racing the whole time you try to keep it together. And I'm just talking to my guys and then the phone rings and then I realize it's my phone ringing, it's like you don't even know what to think, and just to be
Yeah.
able to see that all that panned out that you are good enough to make it, you always have those thoughts. So that's kind of like a reassuring factor, and knowing that you're able to make that stuff happen based off of like or like also with all the stuff that I went through, like when I started, it never really matters. It's just about the hard work and the mindset that I had to really, stay true to it and seeing that that paid off really
Yeah.
made me emotional at the time.
I love that story about your story about how you were from Germany and all basketball to that. So it's really inspirational.
Yes,
You
sir.
started 12 games as a rookie. What was the hardest part about transitioning to the pros?
Yeah, the hardest part for sure was like it wasn't like the game speed. Obviously, a lot of people say that it had a factor, but I mean, you get used to that fairly quickly, or I did at least. I think it was more like the depth that the game is at this level in terms of
Mhm.
like the moves, the way people prepare, like the schemes. In college, a lot of times it's like you have your scheme and you're going to run it no matter what happens, and then you
Yeah.
have your adjustments. But in the league, it's like there's a whole staff that comes together and like what scheme do we have to put together? Obviously, in like the ramifications of like the players you have,
Yeah.
because you can't just play whatever, but what do we put together for this week to beat that team and like the detail that goes to, and then also on the personnel level, it's like there's guys all across the league that can play football at a high level and at the defensive end position,
Mhm.
like for me last year, and then just seeing how each one prepared for like the weaknesses I had,
Mhm.
but like they also did that like their own play style. Like Miles Garrett might have attacked me differently than Mike Parsons did or
Yeah.
Arden Key did against against Tennessee. So it's like seeing those different things made me like grow a lot more as a player in the offseason.
Mhm.
Like, okay, what can I do to hide my weaknesses more? What can I do to get those weaknesses even
Yeah.
completely canceled out? And now switching positions, obviously there's like new figuring out what my
Mhm.
weaknesses are at guard. What do I do good? What do I do bad? What do I have to work on? And that's why I take this year in as well. Is like I'm gonna play at the highest level that I can. By the end of the day, I'm gonna learn each week. Like, okay, what can I do better? How can I be a better athlete at that position? But yeah, I think it's really just like the depth that you have to work your skills and not just rely on athletic ability and what you think you're good at, but figuring out what you're bad at,
Yeah.
minimizing those.
So you said you switched to guard. How's that been adapting to your mental and physical?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I played it for a couple years in college, so
Okay.
I kind of know what it's about. Obviously, it's a completely different game in the league. Like there's not just these big guys that can't
Yeah.
move fast and or like these like three techs that weigh as much as ends. Like it's guys that weigh 320, 315, but they move like freaks. So
Mhm.
obviously that's something you have to adjust to is like the speed inside is a lot quicker. Like the way things happen is like probably a second or two faster than a tackle, but also just the way you might have to strain, the way your body functions. That's why I figured out
Yeah.
is like the adjustments I have to make to my body, my maybe like routine throughout the week, the way I train changes a little bit too,
Mhm.
because there's a different way my body has to move
Yeah.
or has to adjust inside. You recover a lot more from like power moves inside than you do outside. So being
Mhm.
able to like anchor, being able to have your body move like that while being strong is something that you have to focus on. So it's like I see myself attacking different areas of my body when I train, or like
Yeah.
even just like when I train my skills, like things that you have to adjust, obviously, which is cool to see, because a lot of people think O line is just O line, but I mean, from
Yeah.
center to tackle to guard, it's like completely different ways that you attack that
Mhm.
position when you play it, and also like the mindset that you have to have when you go into
I couldn't even imagine, bro. I just watched the sport.
it. Yeah, for sure.
What's your daily routine like during the season to stay sharp physically and mentally?
Yeah, so I think I'm a pretty routine oriented athlete. Like I try to make each week look the exact same if I can. So if we have like a normal practice day on like a Wednesday, I come in, we meet at 8:15. So I'll come in probably at 7, get my treatment and like rehab in whatever it is that's hurt right that week
Yeah.
or like that's sore. So from the game, kind of start working on that. You go to meetings, you have your walkthroughs, whatever you got to do, then you practice. For practice, kind of same thing. I get like an hour to warm up, so it's like 30 minutes just getting the joints loose, doing some activation for all the stuff that I need to. Then you go out and practice, and that changes obviously from week to week. Some
Yeah.
practices might be hard on pads, some might not be. It just depends on what the team needs in terms of how you feel. Then you usually come inside, got time to like shower, get a lift in if you have to, or even just get in more recovery, which usually what I do. Um, and then you meet again, you kind of just watch tape, discuss certain things, whatever game plans, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of just more football oriented at that point, like watching yourself and preparing yourself rather than watching the opponent. Then you have your normal walkthroughs as well. And then after that, you just stay for like another hour or two to do like whatever other treatment I need to. And that's usually more like maintenance that I do at the end of the day. Like I'm someone who always has like a tight back just because I mean that's
Yeah.
just pretty common, I feel like. So doing like cupping or soft tissue work.
Mhm.
At the end of the week I needle most of my like posterior chain just to kind of release all the pressure points and all the
Yeah.
tightness. And I usually get home by like 6 or 7. So it sounds like a long day, but there's just a lot of
It
like
does.
recovery. There's like a lot of recovery in there as well. And I mean, if it's what you do, that's why I see it. Like this is what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I love to do. So it doesn't really feel like a long time. Like it's something to be able to
Yeah.
prepare myself to play the best I can on the weekends. And I'm someone who gladly invests time and also money into myself. Just gotta know that's like what's going to keep me going at the end of the day.
Hmm.
It's important to do that. So my fiance is mad at me because I'm usually one of the last guys out just because I take my time. Like I'm not gonna rush home through my
Yeah.
treatments because I know it's important. And she obviously gets on me for that sometimes, but she also understands, which I'm very grateful
Yeah.
for, that she understands what I'm doing. So yeah.
That's funny. Who on the Commanders roster has been a mentor or a role model in your league?
Yeah, I think the rookies were pretty fortunate to like have a whole team who tries to take in their role. Like,
Mhm.
it's from what I've heard, and also like heard last year from a bunch of my friends who were rookies last year, even their rookie times, is like there are a lot of teams, or were a lot of teams who might have a bad culture, where like the vets might see you as like a threat to their position, or they have like the traditional rookie hazing stuff going on where they don't really help you out. But I'm like very fortunate to have a whole room who was there to help me.
Mhm.
Even if it was someone else competing and at the spot, like they gave me pointers. They tried to like bring me up to speed, help me with my technique. And that's why there's not really like a specific person. Like obviously this
Mhm.
year, because it's like someone at that level, like Laramie Tunsil is someone who I've looked up to, who I studied for my own like tackle game when I was playing in college. So like being able to play next to someone like that and just pick his brain on how he sees certain things and how I can match my mentality to his
Mhm.
has been like insane to see like throughout camp. Just because it's
Yeah.
like we're just normally communicating, but it also like enriches the way I think about football. So I might attack certain things so much. So and we have so many of those guys. Like we have Von Miller, obviously Luvu and Bobby Wagner on the squad, and then all across, like even on offense, we have guys that have that experience that are open to share and build up the team. It just makes it a lot easier to grow in that environment.
That's great, man. I love that. How do you handle the pressure before a big game and a tough performance?
Yeah, you said a big game and a tough performance.
Yeah, how do you handle the pressure before a big game or after a tough performance?
Okay, after tough performance. Yeah, before big game, I don't think I ever was someone who felt really like the nerves like that just because of the game. I think last year there were some moments where I felt nervous at times, depending on who I went against. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I prepared, but it's like when I played Miles Garrett as first, like that's still like the best probably defender in the league. Like, you know what I mean? You still have like kind of those nerves sometimes, but you know that goes away once you get into the game.
Yeah.
And I think that also got a lot better once I was able to play consistently. You know, I had an injury last year, so I had to work my way like into starting and taking half the reps in a game or 25%. It doesn't never lets you get into a rhythm. You know, and that's what like, I feel like
Yeah.
everybody will tell you at O line is like you want to be able to play the whole game because then you can get a
Mhm.
read on the defense, on the guy you go against, the
Yeah.
rotations. When we don't have that, it's hard to get comfortable. So when I was able to do that, I think started like week 9 against the Giants, I felt a lot more comfortable out there no matter who I was going against because I was
Mhm.
able to, you know, feel out the whole game, feel how I was
Yeah.
playing, how it might adjust, how a game really flows. And then you pair that with, you know, just preparing against the opponent you're going against and kind of just getting comfortable mentally. You don't
Mhm.
really feel that pressure. And, you know, like I said, like when I had a tough performance, obviously you want to stay off of social media because I mean, people going to tell you that you suck and whatever else. Like
Yeah.
it's no matter what. And, at the end of the day, I take those as learning experiences. Like obviously, I'm frustrated. I'm a competitor, and I hate it sometimes that I was not doing things I told myself I was going to do in the game just because of my mental lapses or the fact that I had nerves or whatever. Right, but at the end of the day, it's another game that I could learn from, and I'm just grateful that I'm able to do that.
Mhm.
And you know, a big part was also the fact that I had those guys around me that built me up. They said, you know, it happens. Like it happened to me when I first started playing, or this is how you can work on that. You know, my coach and all those guys, they didn't just, you know, talk down on you, told you that you didn't
Yeah.
play good, but also just working you through your mistakes to where you can learn. Um, really helps you handle situations to where you're going to like in the game and don't think, oh, I don't want to mess up because this will happen, but you just go out there and play your game. And if a mistake happens, you'll correct it, but you don't fear making mistakes like that.
How do you handle the fans and stuff like that? You probably get Instagram DMs on Twitter and stuff like that. How do you handle that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you just don't answer the bad stuff.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. Like I try to interact. I'm not really like a really present guy on social media. I never
Yeah.
was. But you know, I try to interact with fans a lot and people that reach out to me just because, you know, I was in that spot too where I was a big fan of a team, even this team at some point. So now that social media is so much bigger and so much more like included into like everyday life and even us like they're able to reach us if they know our tag and like we might see that they texted us and we can respond, you know, that's pretty cool to see. So if I ever see someone reach out and like, hey, like I'm a big fan, so see if I can get a shout, like I'll try to talk to people or even like
Yeah.
meet up, you know, because it's like at the end of the day it's everybody's here and playing and supporting because they love the sport and they want to be part of it as much as they can. And you know, even if it's just as a fan, you know, we all do the same thing. We all have the same passion. So just being able to be around people and show love to people that support us, I think was important too.
I really love that, man. How do you I was just gonna ask one that came to my head. When you're playing and you get like a guy goes by you or something, does that mentally take a toll on you? Or like mid game,
Um,
like or do you just kind of like get back into it, lock in again?
yeah, I mean, when you're out there, you can't do that. You know,
Yeah.
it's you get beat, the next play happens in 10 seconds or in 30
Yeah.
seconds. So you gotta kind of just refocus. And what I learned is like you go back to what you practice. He might have beat you on a good move. He might have beat you because you didn't do something right. So instead of trying to figure it out or beating yourself up, just go back to the basics. Like you practice this stuff day and out. You practice your techniques. Just make a checklist of like, okay, this is my technique. This is how I set every time. This is how I step every time. You don't base that off of your opponent. You base that off of yourself. And you can react off of what he does. Like you might do everything right, but like you say, he might go past you, but you'll have your rules to be able to recover. You'll have something in place to where you don't just panic. And then after you get off the field, after that drive, you're on the sideline. Then you go and look at, maybe you have like one of the pictures that they have on the sideline, like, okay, this is what you did. Maybe you set out too wide, maybe you went too vertical, maybe whatever, and then you make those bigger adjustments. But you really just have to. The biggest part of those mistakes is like on the field, just keeping your mental strong and just staying inside yourself. Don't get and try new things and try, oh, maybe I have to do this. Just stay
Yeah.
with what you do. It's one rep. It doesn't, it's not going to break you as a player if you make a
Yeah.
mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, but just save that for after the drive and then make the adjustments. Talk with your coach or your players, because those are eyes too that can ultimately help you out.
You said picture. Are those pictures that they have on the iPads or like they videos of like your recent plays?
No, so they can't have video during the season. So it's like
Oh, they can't. Oh
it's like a
wow.
couple of pictures that show you different moments of that play,
Wow,
and
I
you
never
talk
knew
through it.
that.
I never knew that till last year. And
Wow.
I think they might have video like during preseason, obviously because you
Mhm.
like want to learn and it's like more of a developmental thing. But yeah, during the season, last year at least it was just pictures on the sidelines.
Wow. That's actually really cool. What
Yeah, for
mental
sure.
health challenges have you faced in your journey and how have you overcome them?
And so, um, I think the big one was obviously just the adjustment of moving, like a whole new environment, feeling isolated, kind of like alienated. You're like someone that does things completely different than everybody else. On top of like being a pretty big introvert, or back then I was like very introverted and not able to like make new connections.
Mhm.
Um, it was very hard to overcome that. And like I'm glad to have like still friends from high school now that I talk to that kind of brought me in and kind of just welcomed me and embraced those differences rather than just make fun. A lot of people make fun of you for being different, but they didn't, which is I'm grateful for. And then yeah, I mean, I think it's really just like the usual things you see with athletes after that. It's fear, failure, not knowing if you're good enough. There's obviously a lot of injury in the sport. So when I was injured early on, I had a season-ending injury in my first year. I got the TCU. That was my big first like thing. So I was sitting at home, alone in the dorm a lot of that year because I couldn't go to the games. And you just think like, oh, I'm missing out on the whole year. I'm not going to make it. You know, Everybody else is progressing while you're stuck here,
Mhm.
and you kind of think everybody's path is linear and like the same. So that was like a big turning point for me to learn like people get hurt, people have to take this like step back to gain some. So just focusing on myself when I get injured, just like right now, it's like I missed out on 3 weeks that I could spend growing my game and getting used to guard, against other opponents.
Yeah.
But because of the injury, I can't. Um, so it's just, in this moment, just focusing on what I can do, which is trying to get better, or in those moments, just focusing on my rehab, focusing on recovering from whatever surgery I might have gotten back then. You know what I mean? That's what
Mhm.
it was in the moment. I had to get wrist surgery, and I was so focused on getting back
Yeah.
that I might have not thought about recovering as much. That can have effects on you afterwards, physically, but also mentally, and just sit there. So, um, yeah, it's just like missing out on opportunity, failure, and then obviously you feel that pressure when you first start playing like in a different environment. Freshmen and sophomore obviously feel that when they go from high school to college.
Yeah.
That's like the big one. I feel like that jump wasn't as big for NFL because
Yeah.
that jump from high school to college is really humongous when you think about it.
Mhm.
In terms of like the pressure that you feel. And I kind of built that pressure up that I have now already in college of like this is, I need to do everything I have to succeed. This is
Yeah.
not just college, this is my life and this is something I want to do. As much as I want to get a degree to have that and to have a plan B, that's not my main focus. That's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
So whatever I can do to set myself on the right path to succeed, that's kind of what I built up in college. And then obviously that's the mindset you have to have in the league is like if you're not able to handle the pressures, if you're not able to handle the stuff that they're throwing at you, you're not cut out to be in the league. And that's like what a lot of people understand is like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's very cutthroat. You might move 4 times in a year, you might move once, but you never know. So it's big to just focus on what you can and just putting your all into it. And at the end of the day, you just gotta control what you can control.
Do you have any specific things like journaling, meditation, visualization to stay mentally locked in? I just stumbled there.
No, all good. I think I just take like notes every week, even if it's the same plays that we might write down, even if it's the same words. Like I just like to take notes in meetings just because it keeps me focused on what we have that week. I can go back to it. It's like a new week. It kind of helps me like cut the slate off the last one, if that makes sense. Like if I just
Mhm.
write it down once and then I flip through the pages, like I'm going back and then I'm thinking about okay, what we do back then. But instead, I just kind of write down, even if I write down the same thing for 18 weeks,
Yeah.
it's like starting a new week and being able to focus on that week. And then I think the other one is just as close to like mentally. It's probably just like my chiropractor work. Like I started doing that this year, and it's like once a week. And she, name's Dr. Vivian Malikoff. She's up here in VA, and she focuses a lot on like quantum neurology. So how
Mhm.
like emotions, your like neural patterns, like also tie into like certain pains you might have or the way your body adjusts stressors, and we talk a lot through like things that I might be going through. Like she's able, I don't know how she does it. She studied
Mhm.
it and I still understand. She like rubs my shoulder and she can figure out stress patterns. And like she's right every
Wow.
time. So it's not like like
Yeah.
she's not bull, but like I still understand, but like it works. So I trust
It's
what
really
she's
cool.
doing. But
Yeah.
like she talks to me about like stresses that I have. Like for example, it might be because I wasn't able to go to practice this
Mhm.
past week, and I'm like thinking about the injury and how it impacts my progress these next couple of weeks or this week. Um, and we talk through it, and it's like, yeah, it's like she's a chiropractor, but it also helps to be able to talk through those things because I would never talk about it myself because I don't think it's a big deal. But she's able to see that, and then this might just also be me being able to get off my chest and kind of talk with her through it, release some of that just like pressure and tension I might build up just mentally and keeps me
Mhm.
tight because I have all those thoughts. You know what I mean?
I talked to many NFL players already, and they say a couple of them have like a mental health therapist that travels with them. Do you guys kind
Mm-hmm.
of have that also on your team?
Yeah, we have one that the clinician that you can talk to.
Yep.
And like I said, like I'm very bad with talking about my emotion. I
Yeah.
always was. I made it a big emphasis when I got into my relationship with my fiance, and I kind of saw how me being closed off impacted not just her, but like my life.
Mhm.
To talk with her about it with my family, I opened up a lot of like old wounds that I needed to with my family and myself to kind of grow, and it helped me like be very like a lot more mature and being able to handle certain situations better. But it's also hard because like I'm not a person that can just go and talk to a therapist. So it's like finding my own outlets or my own ways to talk to someone to where I can get
Mhm.
comfortable. And one day I might have to just because being able to talk to someone who's neutral, who knows patterns and study the brain obviously can
Yeah.
help you out a lot. So but yeah, you just have to take a step, even if it's a baby step, even if it's one that's sideways instead of forward. I had to take a step and ultimately, it let me kind of grow and be able to progress mentally.
To kind of go off of that, have you ever been in moments where you felt overwhelmed or mentally drained?
For sure. I mean, I feel like almost everybody has that at this
Yeah.
level. It's like, especially last year, you come in as a rookie and there were a lot of expectations for me being a starting offensive lineman. And I was excited and I was up for the job
Yeah.
100%. But as much as you want to just cancel out all the negative comments and pressures and just focus on you, you're human and you're gonna have that build up. So there's times where I was just really frustrated because I didn't know what to do, or I was just like overwhelmed, like you said, not knowing how to handle situations.
Hmm.
And that's where I relied a lot on, my family, my support system, but also the players in the locker room, which is why I said it's so vital to have a locker room like that, because then you can go to them for answers and you don't have to feel you have to keep it in because you're competing against someone. Obviously you are, but if you're in an environment where you're able to help each other out, but also compete, it's the best environment for an athlete to grow in.
Okay. Do you think there's still a stigma around mental health in football, or do you think that's changing?
Um, I think it's not just football. I think it's like
Yeah, every sport.
overall,
Yeah.
like sport, but also like around like society about like specifically like guys not being able to share. Like you hear it
Hmm.
all the time, but I mean it's true. Like I catch myself sometimes thinking to myself, oh, I got to tough it out, because I got to do this, I got to provide, I got to make it.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, I can do all those things. I can provide, I can make it to the next level. I can grow with sharing and not just keeping it in. And that's what my past, experiences with sharing and kind of going through those like therapy sessions with my fiance or like talking to people showed me like you can grow and do what you want to do without toughing it out and just keeping stuff bottled up. And that's just something that it's hard for people to learn because like I get where people are coming from who are saying no, you can't share because I've been there. So it's like you have to go through sharing and seeing how it like helps you, how much it can relieve the stress and like that weight off your shoulders before you can really say, oh no, yeah, it's not like that, But like I say, I'm advocating for it. I'm probably anybody that's around me can tell you I hate sharing emotions. I don't talk a lot, but like it's vital to do that just in general for
Yeah.
life too, to be able to function,
Hmm.
because at like end of the day, you can't go through life alone and think that you're just going to be fine. It's going to be hard to do that. It's going to take like a lot of mental strength, but you always have to share and be able to rely on others.
Well, how important is it for players to speak openly about mental health, especially for younger athletes looking up to them?
Yeah, it's very important. Like I just said, it
Yeah.
comes from these experiences where you're able to show people like it's okay to share. Like it doesn't mean you have to go
Yeah.
around and tell everybody your feelings. Not at all. I don't do that. But when you feel something's weighing down on you, even if it's just a quick moment, like I even tell my lady sometimes just like, hey, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to let you know this is what's going on. Because like
Yeah.
I might not feel comfortable in that moment talking and dissecting everything in my brain, but just me being able to share that with her and then say, okay, like this is bothering me. She knows about it. So if it might get too much, then we can talk about it. If it might get to me or she sees something, you know what I mean? It just gives you
Yeah.
another sense of security that there's someone there going through it with you. And if you can share that with high schoolers or middle schoolers, college guys, that's important because like the sooner you start that process of like really showing them what it means to embrace mental health or like make it a focal point, the better that that growth is and the more they can
Mhm.
adjust and like kind of find their way.
I have six more questions. What's something you wish more people understood about mental side of being a professional athlete?
Yeah, I think it's we're human too. I think that's the biggest one is like all the negative stuff. I get it. Like people have their bets or like they might just be very like emotionally attached to a team. But the way that I see it is, I'm a huge basketball fan. Like I love basketball. I watch basketball whenever it's on, and like I'm a Kyrie Irving fan. And let's say like he has a horrible game, like I would never go up to him in person and tell him that he sucks and that he should stop playing basketball. I would never do that
Yeah.
because it's like I mean he goes out there and tries to do what he does. He's human. He'll make mistakes. He'll have a bad day, and at the end of the day, that's just the way it is. So like when people just go out and say the stuff they do each week, like they're up to their own opinion. I'm not gonna like sit here and cry about it. Like I'm still
Yeah.
gonna play the game that I do. I'm still gonna be, I know who I am. The players around me know who I am. The team knows who I am. Just so I know who everybody else is on the team. Like a few opinions are not gonna dictate who you are. But just the mindset about being able just to say that stuff, knowing that you wouldn't say that to somebody else. You wouldn't tell someone that at
Yeah.
your job maybe that you're not close to, you suck at your job, you should
Right.
quit. That's not what you would do. Like that's
Yeah.
not. So that's kind of the way I see it. Like that's kind of construed like it's still a job, still humans working it. It's just
Hmm.
like the way that's been portrayed. That's more like entertainment versus labor, it
Yeah.
makes it seem like it's okay because we're not seen as like just people that are doing the job. We're seen as like the entertainment, right? Which is right,
Mhm.
but it's like humans doing it. So you got to kind of see like you can't just talk however like you would about maybe a movie sucking. You can't talk about that about a human sucking because it can have a huge effect. And like I said, at the end of the day, they gonna say what they
Yeah.
will. So I'm content with that. But just trying to share like that's just the way I see it.
Um, have you ever met him yet?
Like a hater,
Huh?
I, you say like someone that like
No,
talks crazy.
Kyrie. Kyrie.
Oh, Kyrie. Nah, I hope I do. I mean, he's in Dallas now, and I'm from the Dallas area. So like
Okay.
I hope I can make it to a game and like somehow meet him. But yeah, that's like my favorite guy to
I'm
watch. That's like someone I grew up idolizing.
I'm a Damian Lillard fan.
Man, that's a good one. Damien is solid. That's like
Yeah.
that. I like that. It's not like the usual
No,
fave.
he's my ride or die.
For sure. That's awesome.
What's one piece of advice you wish you could give your younger self during the JUCO days? JUCO
JUCO
days.
days. Um, I would say an advice I give myself to I would tell myself that the times that I'm in right there are really crucial and just to give it everything I have. It's not like I didn't give it a lot, but I didn't think I did everything I could have. Like I could have asked a lot more questions about the game. I could have invested more to grow faster with football. I could have invested more in my body. I did a really bad like weight transition when I first got
Mhm.
there and just gained bad weight. It's like just taking it seriously and not thinking, oh, I still have all this time. You can start the process as early as you want to, as late as you want to. And just starting it early, taking it serious. I did my last couple years at TCU. Starting it then, where would I be
Mhm.
at that point? What kind of progress would I have made? So it's not like I have regrets, but that's the advice I would have given myself back then is just locking in a little earlier. And the
Yeah.
video games, like I still play video games, they're still here. They're never gonna go away. So just putting the game down maybe for an hour or two and just focusing on different things and making sure that you're right and having your priorities right.
You playing Madden?
Not a big Madden guy, but I tried to
No.
get into it. I play 2K and then obviously like COD, some Marvel Rivals. I'm all over the place with video games, so I try to venture out a little bit.
I like Apex. That's my game.
I used to like in JUCO that like I was on there every day, but nah, I can't do it now. I'm washed. I got out of it too long.
Yeah. What keeps you hungry in the league, especially after already earning a starting role early?
Yeah, I think I can kind of touch on what I said earlier. Is like it was my goal to make it
Hmm.
in the league, but after that, I had to adjust. You always adjust goals because they're not like absolute, like they're relative to your position. They change. So I celebrated and did all that. I got drafted. That's great, but after I got done and I was preparing to travel to DC, it was more about, okay, what do I want to do now? What was my goal? What do I want to achieve? And last year was I want to earn a starting spot. Last year, was I want to prove, I'm the player that I am to
Yeah.
everybody on the staff, to the players, to myself. And this year it's proving to myself, everybody else I can be a high level guard in the league. And you have your personal own ones like I want to be a pro bowler, I want to be an all pro. And that stuff you have, and that stuff that keeps you going. Even if I like have those things and I accomplish those things weren't like someday, like it's always going to be something that I grow at.
Yeah.
Even if it's something that's as small as like a technique point, is like I might be an all pro, but like, hey, I wasn't good at this, and I want to master this
Mhm.
before we're done, with the off season. I want to
Yeah.
hit this number for my speed or acceleration before I get back to camp. There's always something that I think I can get better and that I can chase. And I'll be there after football too. Like I'm gonna probably get back on the court. I'm gonna lose like 54 or 60 pounds. I'm gonna go hoop in some league. I want to hoop like in a very competitive league when I'm done. So there's always gonna be something that I chase, even if it's that or starting to lift and chasing numbers or something else. That's just how I keep myself
Yeah.
going. I think that's what helped me a lot. Stay like focused and driven is like I'm able to give myself goals and whatever I do to kind of help me keep the motivation there. and just to kind of take that step every day.
Go to the NBA after.
I wish, I wish I could do that. Make it with 35. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
What's a moment in your career that really tested your resilience?
I think it was all the injuries that I've had. Obviously, it tests like your mental strength, obviously, and how you're able to bounce back. But then on top of that was also all the moments where I felt not helpless, but like you felt like you didn't have a plan in the
Yeah.
game. Like you did everything you could, but you might not have the knowledge to counter a move,
Hmm.
or like you feel like your body was at its physical limit in terms of like how I could move my body on the field. Like you didn't think you able to do it.
Yeah.
Um, and that, the resiliency there is just like going back to the drawing board and finding ways to overcome those hurdles.
Hmm.
It's either a lot of guys say, oh, that's just the limit, I'm capped, or the guys that really make it and succeed tell themselves, okay, that's my limit right now. Let me see what I can do to push myself forward. What can I do to make myself faster? What adjustments do I have to make? And it's like there's no limit to how much I would invest into making myself better. That's just the way you have to think. Like I have some, I might just have some tendon issues right now, some like stuff like that. So this off season, I heard a lot about like stem cell treatments that you can go get that cost tens of thousands of dollars, but it's like that will give me an edge. That will let me play longer. That will let me move better. So instead of spending that money on something that will just sit around at the crib, why not invest in something that will help me, first of all, make more money, but also let me do something I love for a longer time. You know what I mean? That's kind of the approach that I take is like, it's not going to be enough money that I can spend on my body or like something that can help me. If it's going somewhere to train with someone, if it's stuff I have in the house, I probably have like $10,000 worth of like this recovery equipment at the crib. Just because that's important. Like you got to have everything. If you're tight and something doesn't feel right, I like make my fiance sit down and learn every modality in the house so she can like be my own like athletic trainer,
Hmm. Yeah.
which I love her for because that she'll be able to do that. But it's just investing. And if you have someone kind of on the side of that is able to invest like that with you, if it's family or a loved one or siblings that put in time with you because they see it's important to you, then those things that you want to do for them become important too. You know what I mean? And that kind of just strengthens that bond and that motivation that you have because then you have a whole circle who's just they're just striving to get better and to have like kind
Yeah.
of that same mindset that keeps you going.
I really love that. What's something people misunderstand about a life as an NFL player?
I don't even know. Trying to think. I think a lot of people underestimate like how busy we really are.
Yeah.
Like I talk with it a lot about my friends and like people that are around me, but they never like truly understand the extent of like training is. Like obviously people that, like are surprised when they hear like we have like 12-hour days. And like the amount of stuff we put into our bodies and time during the season. But like off season, it's like you get last year at least I gave myself like a month or two, maybe like a month and a half and then I went back to training in Fort Worth. That's just where I was at. And it's basically just like there's nothing else to do. That's your body, you gotta take care of it. You know what I mean? You can't just put it in the garage and let it sit until April and then you start OTAs. So it's like I get like maybe a 2 to 3 months. I give myself a year, maybe, where I'm like doing very little maintenance stuff. But even then it's like I'm always
Yeah.
doing something to recover, to keep my body moving. Like everything I do is geared towards is just gonna hurt me in the long run.
Yeah.
And that's how what people I feel like to understand is like and that just might be a mindset that some athletes have. But for me, it's like when I go out to eat, when I go play a sport, when I'm just sitting at home, I always think like, is this like how does this fit in the plan for me to be successful? Is going to like push me back a step. What do I have to adjust this week? What do I have to adjust tomorrow? It's like subconsciously I gain like a kind of mindset of like gearing everything I do towards being able to play and growing and being able to, be ready by the season, even if it's February, which is crazy. But like I always tell myself, "Hey, I'm gonna take a break, get away from it, but like I can't do that. Like that's not that's not what I
Yeah.
do. Obviously I'm gonna get away and like I'm gonna play basketball, but like there's always gonna be something that I like having my mind about football and
Oh
like
yeah,
my body. You know what I mean?
I love that because it's actually I met a friend. I work at a gym also, as I
Hmm.
finished grad school, and I met a friend there that him and me for the past year, every day we send our goals in. We send 10 to 15 goals a day that we got to achieve. And
Yeah.
just like doing those goals like makes my mindset like so much stronger and motivating me to keep doing more and more. So
Yeah.
it's really cool that you have that also.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's like, yeah, that's the best way to keep
Yeah.
yourself going. Because like you said, once you start doing that, and at first it'll feel like you have to do it to keep your
Yeah.
body going, and at some point it's like you cannot physically function without
Yeah.
having that going. Like if
Mhm.
I was in the off season without a workout schedule, without knowing what I'm doing that week, I will go insane. Like I couldn't just wake up and think like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Like I have to be able to plan out, even if it's like I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna go play basketball, I'm gonna come home, shower, get on the game, and then I'm gonna do this for recovery. Like it's as simple as that, which I'm not even doing anything for football. But like it still gears my mind towards like having a goal, having something that'll get me
Mhm.
better. Like basketball, work on conditioning and change of direction, and then I do recovery at home, and then I'm resting. Is like something that you just kind of live by once you, like you said,
Yeah.
once you kind of start doing it day in, day out, it's like it's how your life
Yeah.
gets kind of turned into.
And last question. When football is over one day, what do you want your legacy to be on and off the field?
I think I just want my legacy to show like anything is really possible. Like I started playing football or O-line my senior year of high school. I didn't know what football was before then. Like obviously I knew of it, but like, I didn't know what it entailed. I didn't know how to play it or anything about it. But if you just set your goals, stay true to like what you want to become, you're able to do anything. And I mean, you see it every day, like those stories, and like those
Mhm.
stories aren't just because they're crazy talented and they just found them one day and said, "Oh, you'll play football." Like those people have to make huge commitments from moving from their homes to like the day in day out cycles that they have of training and being disciplined. And that's what like a lot of people like from back in Germany tell me like, "Oh, how did you do it? You're so strong." So like I was not even benching 135 when I got to the States. Like I was not able to squat 2 plates when I got here for a rep. Like they had to take me outside behind the gym and show me how to squat properly and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Like I was not just a gifted guy.
Yeah.
Obviously I have height, but it took effort and time. And as long as you put that in and just I'm not saying that you'll be able to make the NFL. I'm not saying you're gonna be able to do what like you want to do, but it gives you the best possible, opportunity to do that, and you will achieve a lot greater things than if you having the mindset of like, oh yeah, I'm not built for it. Like everybody's built for it,
Oh yeah.
because everybody's different. But it's like if your mind is built for it, if you're able to do that stuff, then you can truly make it.
I love that. Well, I'm gonna end this recording now.